Who was your very first legend crush? You have one, right? We've all had that person who we absolutely adore. They challenge us, they encourage us, they see things possible in our lives that we never did. Who was your legend crush? It's that time again. For those of you who I've not yet met in person, my name is Amber Griffiths, and I'm a maker of legends and a brand strategist, like for reals. So grab your legend pack, crank that speaker to 11. Welcome to Legend. I want to talk to you about your legend crush. Excuse me. My first, oh my goodness, I thought I'd have a joke about it. When I talk about legend crush, I don't mean like the romantic kind of crush. Like I remember my sister had posters up of, different musicians, different rock bands on the walls. Not that kind of crush. I'm talking about that person who made you think about the world differently, who maybe even made you think about yourself a little differently. That person, and not because they tried to or asked you the hard questions, but because just the way they showed up in the world. My first legend crush was actually an English professor from high school, and I adored her. She was different than any other teacher I'd ever had. She is the reason that I went out for English Starting Scholar. She is the reason I wanted to be an English professor when I grew up. Yeah. I don't know that you can see that for those of you who know me. I don't know if you can see me as an English teacher, but it's really, she was that inspirational to me. She had that much of an impact on who I was and who I wanted to become in the world. But here's the thing. She had a way of teaching that made me lean in and listen. She had a way of making me feel like there are no silly questions, there are no foolish questions. There are just questions that make us think about things in a different way. And it wasn't just because she didn't teach out of a manual, although she never did. There was one day she brought in, we were in the middle of a poetry um, module, and she brought in her boombox. Yes, it was the 80s and 90s. We had a boombox, and she played this song from Richard Marx called Hazard. And it was one song that we all knew. It had come out right about that time. And as a poetry assignment, she had us write the next chapter, the next verse to that song, because it was a story. So she's like, I want to know how this ends. I want to know how this next part goes. So we were able to experience it and really try it on for ourselves rather than just view it from an audience perspective. And I think that was one of the coolest ways to actually learn is I'm not witnessing things, I'm experiencing them. And it wasn't just that I liked her. She was left-handed, as am I. So of course there's that immediate connection. But here's the really cool part. What I realized later is it was her persona. It was her persona coming out. She had decided not to show up like every other teacher, like every other person in my world and every other person in every other student's world. And it wasn't just that she dressed a certain way or that her classroom was decorated in a certain way. It was the fact that her persona came out in everything that she did, in the way she spoke, in the way she handled questions, in the way that we got to talk about the things that were important to us. And it's one of those things that has impacted me so huge that I realize there's parts of how I do my job now, how I work with people now, and what I'm passionate about and the way I do things that was completely inspired by her. One of the first things that I learned from her was that you have to commit. You have to commit to being you. You have to commit to the thing that maybe is a little scary, maybe it's a little unknown, but you know it's important. You're passionate about it. It excites you. It brings you joy and fulfillment like nothing else does. And you have to commit to owning that, to claiming that, and being yourself, being your true, most aligned, authentic self. To being who you are, to not hiding those parts of you that may not feel safe, may not feel like everybody's going to like them. It's one of the really grandest, I think, things about persona is that it acts like a great sorter. The more your persona comes out, the more people are going to instantly align with you or instantly dislike you and tune out, which awesome. That is a win-win for everybody. Nobody wastes their time. You get to attract those people who really are meant for you, who are completely in alignment with who you actually are. not the facade that you put up, not this, whoever this person is that you pretend to be, but who you actually are inside. We have all had some version in our lives of being told to be quiet, being told to sit down, let somebody else talk, some version of you're not doing it enough, you're not doing it right, you're not doing it fast enough, good enough, high enough, hard enough, whatever, enough. And it's taught us to be quiet and to hide our true voice and to hide those parts of us that have been shamed into hiding. And when I talk to you about bringing out your persona and heading to legend, it's those pieces of you that have been muted, that have been overlooked and silenced, that to get to come out, that get to be celebrated and shared with the world. Imagine if you look at, let's do it this way. Let's do some math. Really easy math. It's brand strategist math, so it won't be hard. If you are letting out, let's say, 20% of who you are, that part that feels safe, the part that has been allowed to come out by society, by culture, by a mentor, by colleagues, whatever, that 20% of who you really are. And you're attracting some of who you want. You're attracting those people into your space that are mostly, maybe probably 20% of who you actually want, which means, mathematically speaking, you're making about 20% of the income potential and the revenue that you actually have. 20%. Now, what if you could let out and share and polish and crank to 11 100% of who you actually were in a way that is so completely brand aligned, that is persona identified? What does that do to the people who are in your space? You don't spend and waste time with people who aren't meant for you, who kind of want you but kind of don't, who want what you have but don't want to pay for it, or want what you have but they're not ready to move forward at a pace that makes sense for the results that they say they want. Chances are right now, you're doing great. You're doing pretty good. You're getting some of what you want. You're posting, you're networking, you're putting yourself out there, but not enough people are showing up. Not enough people are signing up. Not enough people are following you and signing up and giving you their credit card. It's persona, my friends. How do I know that? I'm a maker of legends. It's what happens. When your persona is cranked to 11, you get to have the visibility and the authority and the revenue that you know is possible with what you do and your passion in your business. The thing that is blocking you from everything you want in your business, to have a following that is yours, to have people not just know you, but like know you, that wait in line to sign up for what you have, that come and share their heartfelt stories with you because you help create. The thing that's stopping all of that is lack of persona. And it's fixable, it's workable, it's adjustable. You just get to let more of it out. And yes, there are specific ways to do that, and there's a specific path to take. Most people don't know what that is, so it's okay if you haven't done it yet. I can help you with that. Find where in your world are you not sharing who you are? Are you not letting out 100% of your persona? Are you not letting people know you, the real, true who you are and what makes you tick and what drives you? It's the key to unlocking that visibility and authority and revenue that you know is possible. Try that. The very first step is to commit. Commit to doing it differently. Commit to being who you really are. Commit to being someone else's legend crush. Until I see you on that road to legend. Be safe, get vaccinated, rock on.